Good evening, and welcome to an evening with the candidates sponsored by the 30 in Main Committee of Beverly Main Streets. My name is Dana Morton, and I'm a member of both the 30 in Main Committee and the Beverly Main Streets Board. Here with me tonight also is Jen Wallace, the Executive Director for Beverly Main Streets, Heather Woolsey, Marketing Coordinator, and we also have Mary Grant. She's a co-president of Beverly Main Streets and an advisor to our 30 in Main team. Now, before we begin, we'd like to take a moment and recognize what a difficult day it has been for our neighboring community of Danvers. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Colleen Ritzer, her family and friends, and basically all of the Danvers community. And if you'll please just join me in a moment of silence while we think of them. Thank you. Now, for those of you who don't know, Beverly Main Streets is a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to making the downtown a great place to live, work, run a business, shop, dine, or visit. Its mission is to focus on the economic vitality of the downtown, its historic and cultural resources, and basic overall quality of life. For those of you who don't know a lot about Beverly Main Streets, we encourage you to go to our website at beverlymainstreets.org or attend some of the many events that we put on throughout the year. Now, in 2011, 30 in Main put on its first debate with the intent to bring to the forefront issues and concerns of young adults that had chosen to make Beverly their home for either their personal or their work life, and who have looked to help shape the city's future by taking on leadership roles. We're excited to be hosting the debate again, and we hope it provides you the opportunity to learn more about the candidates, the issues that drive them, and their plans for office should they be elected. Now, we're happy to have with us not just our mayoral candidates here tonight, we also have other candidates in the audience that I'd like to recognize. If you could just stand up briefly while I call your name. Candidates for School Committee, Dwayne Anderson. School Committee, Maria Decker. And School Committee, Lorinda Visnick. For Ward Councilors, we have David Lang and incumbent Brett Schetzel. So thank you. Now, the format for this evening will have us starting with our city council candidates from the downtown wards 2 and 3. From there, we'll move on to our mayoral candidates, and then we will close with our at-large candidates. Before we begin, though, I would just like to say that we're happy to have you all here with us this evening. We're happy that you're supporting the 30 in Main event, and we hope that you enjoy the evening. So now let's move on and meet our downtown city council wards 2 and 3 candidates. Candidates, if you please join me on stage. Thank you, candidates. Now we're going to give the candidates 3 minutes to introduce themselves, give you a brief overview of their vision and plans. Candidates, the timers in the front row will keep you posted on where you are with your time, and when you're ready, you can come up to the podium to do your 3 minutes. Brian, if we could start with you.
Sure. Just whenever?
Whenever you're ready.
Well, hello, I'm Brian Ailes, and I'm running for Ward 2 Council this year because I feel I have the right skills, values, and experience to help make Beverly a better place. Having grown up in this city and having parents and grandparents that have as well, I have a perspective and appreciation of how far we've come over the last decade. But I know that there's much more work to be done. We need to explore the revitalization of the waterfront while not detracting from our neighborhoods, and to ensure the impact is minimized for some projects already underway. We need to reallocate scarce resources to support our ailing infrastructure while maintaining the quality of life we are all used to. We need to invest in our safety with proper staffing levels, as well as newer facilities and equipment, all while continuing to invest in our city's most precious resource, our children. Now, you'll hear a lot about vision tonight. Vision of what areas of the downtown should and could be like. Vision of how the waterfront can complement our neighborhoods and be a valuable attraction for the city. You'll hear terms like revitalization, blended use, and walkability. And visions are wonderful, but visions without the experience and knowledge to reach them are just dreams. I've spent a good part of my career setting visions and goals for mid to large size organizations in a variety of capacities. I have a track record of getting things done. Getting them done by building strong working relationships, being inclusive, listening to understand, having a respected voice, and a work ethic that doesn't quit. But just as important as those visions is process. The process by which you as voters and residents of Beverly are able to take part in the shaping of our collective future. As an effective council member, I will open up the lines of communication within our neighborhoods. I will bring people together to tackle difficult and important issues, and I will be a strong and respected voice for Ward 2 residents. These are the things I've done my entire career. With so many critical decisions to be made in the next few years, it's imperative that we as voters elect officials with experience and knowledge fitting of the job. I have an intimate understanding of city and state finances, having been an auditor of municipalities and having managed large government budgets in excess of $200 million. I'm a certified public purchasing official in Massachusetts and can provide guidance, insight, and creative solutions to help ensure transparent and effective use of our city's resources. I have been a staunch advocate for children and families throughout Massachusetts for the past 8 years. I have built consensus around issues with differing perspectives, and I have led change that will positively impact generations to come. I am capable and committed, and I'm asking for you to vote for me, Brian Ailes, on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Estelle? Good evening. Thank you, Beverly Main Streets and 30 and Main, for putting this event together. It's been my pleasure and honor to be part of 30 and Main for the past 3 years. I think great things happen when community supports their upcoming leaders. As the owner and director of the Beverly Farmers Market and as an active member of city committees and nonprofit boards, I've had the opportunity to demonstrate vision, initiative, collaborative ability, and successful implementation of long-range plans. My successes have directly resulted in increasing Beverly's value and building our downtown community while improving the quality of life. Some examples of my contributions to our community as a business owner and community leader are increasing access to fresh local food, supporting Rantoul Street businesses and local agriculture, building community through volunteerism and cultural events like the Beverly Farmers Market Music Series, helping to establish weekly recycling, and supporting upcoming leaders by organizing educational events. I have a strong commitment to Beverly's future and specifically to continuing supporting the growth of our downtown arts and cultural district. Choosing me as your Ward 2 City Councilor gives you the advantage of relying on someone with a working knowledge of Beverly's strengths and challenges and established relationships with key parties. Over the past few years, I've had the pleasure of collaborating with the Veterans Council, Recreational Department, City Council, Mayor Scanlon, Department of Public Works, Board of Health, and the Police Department to build a successful farmers market. I've also recently consulted with the 2 individuals who are considering purchasing Bell Market per their requests. I'm thankful to be in the position to relay the needs and wants of our community to these potential investors. I will help to bring Bell Market back to its central, useful position in our downtown community by continuing to consult with prospective buyers and by hosting the holiday farmers markets at Bell Market. Beverly is ready for a proven leader with a focus on community, collaboration, open communication, and the ability to realize a vision. There will be a new mayor and at least 3 new city councilors this January. Now is the time to elect an experienced leader who can commit to a high level of effective communication with Beverly citizens, local business owners, developers, city committees, nonprofit organizations, and city departments. I hope to continue advocating for Ward 2 and preserving Beverly's spirit and integrity as your Ward 2 City Councilor. Please vote for me, Estelle Rand, on November 5th. Thank you. Thank you, Ward 2 candidates. Now on to our Ward 3 candidates. We'll start with Scott Hunt.
Hoping I'm for Ward Councilor 3, my name is Scott Hunt. I've lived in Beverly for probably about 7 or 8 years. I was born in Beverly, now I'm raising my children in Beverly, and hopefully in my career with being a ward councilor, I'd like to see if we can get the growth of the city back to its original. Years ago, it was thriving. Now that the waterfront is being reconstructed, there are issues that need to be addressed, and with all those issues that need to be addressed, there needs to be there needs to be people that can move forward with Beverly. With the construction coming on, it needs to be. There's a lot of issues that have to be addressed. Hopefully I can help out with those issues, and I'm kind of a modest kind of person, but just as well, I'm hoping that everything that I can pull forward together with everything and all the community members will work out to be for a better Beverly city. There are a lot of issues that need to be addressed from the waterfront to the highway department to the police department needs a new location for themselves. There's some fire departments that need to be updated, and hopefully with all that coming together, everything will work out and the money will be there. As far as our schools, there's a lot of schools that need to be updated, especially the Briscoe Middle School. I mean, I know that we have plans for that, but we need to have vision as well for that. And hopefully with my help, working with the school committee and working with the city council, everything will come together. That's all I have to say. Hopefully on November 5th, you'll vote for me and we can move Beverly forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And the Ward 3 incumbent, Jim Ladder.
2 years ago, I was the youngest elected official in the city. Now I'm one of the old guys. Hi, I'm Jim Ladder. I'm the Ward 3 City Councilor running for re-election. Thank you all for coming and welcome to Ward 3. Thanks to Main Streets and 30 in Main Group for hosting, and thank you to the volunteers for BevCam for giving viewers at home an opportunity to share this discussion about how we govern ourselves. We are here to talk about our vision of what will continue to make Beverly the place we chose to live, work, and raise our families. I believe that with moderate, upmarket, transit-oriented, smart growth in housing, an artistically oriented commercial and light industry sector leveraging the fabulous resources of Montserrat School of Art, and with a little good fortune with the economy, Beverly's downtown streetscape will be one of the jewels of the North Shore for years and hopefully decades to come. We have some great restaurants and okay occupancy rates. If we have one challenge, I would say it's moving from a service-based storefront streetscape towards more of a retail streetscape. We have some incredible opportunities, and as someone who lives in the Main Streets footprint, I can attest to the attractiveness of living in an area where I can walk to the train, walk to the beach, walk to one of the most vibrant employment incubators on the North Shore at the Cummings Center, in the heart of a city with a seaport, 5 commuter rail stations, and an airport. How lucky are we? While our city has these and many other attractive qualities, we also have challenges. Most of our challenges are the result of fiscal pressure and how we prioritize and deal with the relatively fixed municipal revenues. Most importantly, we need to make sure that we fund the best educational system we can afford for Beverly's children, including funding the new middle school on the Memorial campus. That said, while education is our biggest and most important investment, it is not our only obligation. We have all heard concerns about our streets, roads, and traffic. I'm pleased with the state's plans for a complete rehabilitation of Route 1A on the Cabot-Rantoul Street corridor from Memorial to the Beverly-Salem Bridge. And the city has added over $500,000 to this year's road improvement budget. Police, fire, and DPW are all at minimum staffing levels and have capital facility needs as well that need to be addressed. Pension and health care liabilities are potential budget busters if we don't work with municipal employees, state legislators, and city officials from all around the state to find a reasonable way to find our hardworking employees' health care and retirement. For these and for many reasons, we must do what we can to encourage responsible development on our waterfront, in our downtown, and in all areas of Beverly appropriately zoned for it. There is no standstill. If we do nothing, we will diminish while others flourish. I ask that you join me as we move forward to Beverly's vibrant future and humbly ask for your vote on Tuesday, November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. To give them one more round of applause, and whenever you can take your seats. Thank you very much. And now we're going to move on to our main event, the mayor's debate. I'm excited to introduce you to our candidates for mayor. Gentlemen, if you'll please join us on stage. Everyone, I'd like to welcome Mr. D. Wesley Slate and Mr. Michael Cahill.
Oh, I get to be myself. Thanks, Ann.
I'd also like to introduce our moderator for this evening, Ms. Jamie Belcito. Jamie holds a bachelor's degree in political science from Salem State University. She was a congressional intern for the Honorable J. Joseph Moakley. She's a former federal lobbyist in D.C. who has focused on immigration reform. She's been a member of 30 in Maine since its inception, and she was the moderator for our first debate. Please welcome Jamie Belcito.
Great, thanks so much, Dana. It's great being back here. It's amazing how time flies. Since 2011 to 2013, the entire landscape of the mayoral candidacy has changed. And it's very exciting, and I think we're going to have some excellent questions, changing questions that we had even a couple of years ago. Again, it's a pleasure to be back here at this beautiful high school. And before we begin, I'd like to thank the high school for having us and letting us host here again, and BevCam for broadcasting to our viewers at home, and obviously those folks that are here in-house, we thank you for coming out. A little bit of a toss-up between the Red Sox and the mayoral candidates. We understand there might be some clicking back and forth between the two at home this evening. 30 in Maine was hatched back in 2011 with an emphasis on developing Beverly's next generation of leaders. At that time, Beverly had few voices for the under 40 crowd, and that represents, at that time, I don't know if we pulled figures this time around, but it was about 25% of the city, and I'm gathering it's getting bigger as Beverly continues to grow. Since then, 30 in Maine's thrilled to say many of our own members of 30 in Maine are on local boards, commissions, city council, and several members are currently in the thick of it for running with their own wards, as we just heard from some of the candidates. Many of the candidates running for at-large are under 40, as Jim Latter cited himself as being the youngest the last time around. He's now one of the older guys, as he said. This is a wonderful testament to the commitment and dedication and effort to make a positive change in this amazing city of Beverly through our leadership and emphasis on Beverly's next generation of leaders, which is so important. We encourage anyone interested in finding out more about 30 in Maine to check out the Beverly Main Streets website. Now, for the main event, we are going to be focusing on the mayoral portion of this evening. I'm going to introduce the questioners for the evening, and that is Ann Grant and Jay Norden. Thank you so much for being here. Both Ann and Jay are Beverly residents and 30 in Maine members. Our timers for tonight's event are also two Beverly residents and 30 in Maine members, Miss Julia Campbell and John Padol. Thank you. The format for tonight's forum is as follows. The candidates that we have up here will have 1 minute for opening statements. That's Mr. Cahill and Mr. Slate. They'll have, so 1 minute for the opening statement, 1.5 minutes to respond to each question that our questioners will be giving the candidates, and then 2 minutes for a closing statement. There'll be no rebuttals to questions unless I believe that the candidate needs an opportunity to respond to something that the opponent has said. The opening statements will be made by we pulled out of a hat. Okay, so we did it very old school way this evening. And we'll continue to alter back and forth between who's going to answer first, what question, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll set that up so that we can follow the back and forth with the questioning of this evening. Wes Slate, Mike Cahill is going first for the opening statement. Wes will be following, and then we're going to open up the question and answering with Wes going first. So we'll revisit the question portion after the opening statements, and I'd like to pass the mic to Mike Cahill. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thanks to BevCamp for filming, and thanks to 30 and Main and Beverly Main Streets. It's particularly fun to be here with you folks tonight, as I've been volunteering on the Main Streets Board for almost a decade. My name is Mike Cahill. I just want to share very quickly a bit about who I am. I was raised in Centerville in the Cove. I graduated from the Beverly schools, taught most of my 20s in Beverly and in the Ipswich Public Schools. Then I had the honor of serving you as your state representative for 10 years. Before going to work with the YMCA's, the Alliance of Massachusetts YMCA's as their executive director. A couple of years ago, you remember, I ran for mayor, and prior to that, I was the president of our city council. I hope over the next hour we'll have a chance for you to get a better sense of who I am and what my vision is for our city's future, an understanding of how I'll lead. My style is to be very inclusive and collaborative. It's to empower people. This is our city. And my goal, if you elect me mayor, will be to have us together shape our city's future. So I look forward to the next hour. Thanks.
Wes Slate, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to 30 and Main and Beverly Main Streets. It'll be no surprise to any of you that both of us want your votes to be the next mayor. I love the work that I've done over the last 6 years on the council, and I believe that my consecutive years at this level are more relevant to the job than my opponent's 2-year bounce through with us. Tonight, one of us will answer your questions from embedded knowledge, and one of us will be referring to note cards to answer those same questions. My opponent will try and subtly convince you that we are of different generations. Nice try, but I have a brother who is younger than he is, and that puts us in the same generation. My opponent will also spin his state rep title, which was 10 years ago, as a superior ability to cross the Tobin Bridge. I too have traveled the bridge many times for Beverly. 2 weeks ago, in fact, at the invitation of the state treasurer to the school building authority meeting for the vote on the middle school. Having traveled all over the country in my corporate life, in business, I can certainly make it 20 miles into Boston. So listen carefully, and I hope someone has a chance to ask the question about the most creative idea in a long time, the Beverly Oracle. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that will set the tone for the candidates this evening. We're going to pass the mic over to the questioners. I am going to have the first question come from Ann Grant, and that will be going to Mr. Wes Slate. Thank you.
Actually, I'm going to be reading the first question.
Well, my apologies. The first question will be asked by Jay, and I should refer to the most updated notes that I have here.
You've each said that your administration will seek input from the community, that you'll support transparency, and that you'll be a consensus builder. While we value that approach, it takes time to do that, and as mayor, you often won't have that kind of time. Spur-of-the-moment decisions will have to be made that might not be popular and don't allow time for the community input or deliberation. Give us a few examples of when you've recently had to make decisions under those circumstances, and tell us how you felt about making them that way.
Jay, I think that a combination of my experience in business and as a counselor prepare me for that. It's not uncommon in business, and I started as a teacher. My wife Georgia and I met as teachers in Connecticut, where I'm from. But I started with the telephone company in 1980 when it was the Bell System, and I was with them for 20 years, and now I work for Crane Electronics right over here on Tozier Road, right up the street, for the last 8 years. Very often in business, we're forced to make decisions on the fly and reorder priorities on a constant basis. Certainly as a classroom teacher, that was not uncommon, so I'm familiar with that. To the larger point, though, we keep hearing about transparency and collaboration. My view of doing that is to include as many people as possible in the decision-making process. There are many ways to do that now. The most prominent is the use of social media, which the city currently does not make any use of. I would certainly make use of that. We both actually do that in our campaigns, and we have a very active website. And I think with social media, it's very possible, as we've all learned in the last few years, to be very responsive very quickly. And my experience in business and my experience as a counselor will certainly prepare me to do that.
Great, thank you very much. We'll have that same question, and if you'd like it to be repeated, Mr. Kale, please let us know.
That's fine. Thank you for the question, Jay. I think there's almost always time to consider something thoughtfully, even if you need to make a decision pretty quickly. And I think what's important to voters is to know that that the person you elect is somebody whose judgment, whose integrity, whose core set of principles you can get behind. And you take that and you kind of use that. Now, looking ahead, if I'm elected mayor, there will be immediate opportunities for the public to be at the table. So I'll be looking right up front for the type of collaborative efforts, the type of scrutiny of where we're headed with our ongoing projects and with potential new opportunities, so that we'll get ahead of those. And when the time for a decision may be accelerated by some unforeseen circumstance, or something comes about that just requires a decision on the spot, you really are voting for it's a representative form of government. You're voting for people to exercise their best judgment on your behalf. And I have every confidence that I'll do that for our city. There are plenty of examples of times that I've had to do that in the last 8+ years, running the Alliance of Massachusetts YMCAs.
Calling time. Thank you. Next question will be coming from Ann Grant. And Mike, I'll give you a moment to take a sip in between questions here. This is going to be a two-part question, and Ann Grant will lead with that next question. This is question number 2.
Renovations are being made to the outside of City Hall to bring the building into the 21st century. As mayor, what plans would you have to do the same to the inside of the building? For example, keeping the city's website up to date, using social media to connect with residents, and implementing an electronic filing system.
Thank you, Ann. A couple of things, and we've all been talking about this. We've had several debates, and Councilor Slate and I and city council candidates, we've all talked about the need for our city's website to be improved. Also, the city of Salem just recently launched a second site for specific building projects and other type of infrastructure projects to keep people updated on things they need to know, such as, they might lose a certain area of parking for the train and need to go elsewhere, those kind of things. Also, there's a system called CityStat that, again, the city of Salem has applied for and received grant money from the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, and it's a way to really kind of add technology to the type of requests and concerns that people bring to City Hall. If you walk into City Hall, if you phone a city department and you don't get an answer or you don't get a follow-through, this CityStat software program is a way to try to, try to facilitate knowing who will be responsible for tracking and delivering on your request. So I think those are some areas that we can improve on. I thought you were going initially with other kind of bricks and mortar concerns about City Hall, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk about that and our other infrastructure needs as we move forward.
Great. Thank you very much. Wes?
Well, I already mentioned the website and social media. and CityStat is something that we both agree on. It's a system that's used nationwide. I believe it was started in New York City and Chicago, and even Amesbury up north of us uses it. And it is a way to measure performance and also measure responsiveness to constituent requests. The second website that the City of Salem started, I believe it's called what'sgoingoninsalem.com or something like that, I thought was a terrific idea, separate from the city's website. Our website currently is better than it was. We changed vendors a couple of years ago, and my colleagues on the council that have been here, that are here tonight, will remember that every time we're doing the budget and we talk about the IT infrastructure and the website, I ask the question of the director of IT and also the finance director that he works for, what are we doing to improve the city's website? So that would continue when I become mayor. The other piece of it, though, I think, is that getting information to constituents, getting information out to the public is so critical. The most frustrating thing for people, and I think we had a good example of it right in this room with the Brimble Avenue Interchange project, was the belief from people that because it was difficult to get information and find it, there was some reason why it was being hidden or kept away from them. And that was not the case. It was just not easy to find it. We have to do a much better job of doing that, and there are easy ways to do it.
Great, thank you very much. This is the second portion of the question. Go ahead, Ann.
How will you ensure that city employees maintain a, quote, customer service attitude and that doing business at City Hall is a positive experience for residents and business owners?
So that goes back to Mike.
I'm sorry?
You'll
Goes to me again?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think there are a few things. One is that if I'm elected, one thing that I will do early on and consistently is to bring our city department heads out to the public. We will have periodic meetings in different neighborhoods and in different venues other than City Hall to give neighbors opportunity to just hear what's going on, upcoming projects, ongoing efforts. That's one thing. Another is there's a mindset. I think there's a lot of great service that's delivered by our city employees, and it's something that we need to continue to take pride in. Citizens and anybody who wants to come do business in Beverly deserves to get good service, and I think by and large they do. Our employees also deserve to have those who come to the windows and come to their offices be respectful of them, and that's a mindset, and it's really just a culture that I'll work to ensure continues and improves. The last thought I had on that was, I had it a minute ago. It's gone, and maybe I'll come back to it on the next question.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And Wes?
Well, the city employs about 1,000 people, if you include the teachers. And I've worked in very large organizations. The Bell System, when I worked there originally, had over 1 million employees. It was the largest company in the world. Now that company is Walmart. You can judge that for yourself. And I've made the point before, and it's relevant to the city's operations, that we were management employees in the marketing organization, but the telephone operators, the technicians, the clerks, the admin people, and the business office were all union members, CWA and IBEW. Even in that environment, with the union contracts and grievances and negotiations, it's possible to reward people and recognize people, and the phone company was real big on that. My current company, Crane Electronics, is really big on that, giving awards periodically to people that really deliver excellent customer service. That's something that we're trained to do. So that's an environment that I'm very familiar with, and I would implement that in the ways that meet with the union contracts and don't present a problem in that area as it did not with the phone company. Crane is not a union operation, so it's a different environment there. And the other thing I think is that you lead by example. If you set the example as the executive, as the head of the organization, and your department heads do the same thing when you choose them and evaluate them and set the tone for their departments, that does go down to everybody that works there, and I think that's a good way of doing it.
Thank you so much. We will now go to Jay for our question number 3 of the evening.
Communities around us, like PBD and Salem, have full-time employees with economic development experience who are aggressively marketing their cities and their downtown districts in particular to attract new businesses and to support the business community. We do not have this position in City Hall. What will you do to bridge this gap and enable us to effectively compete with our neighbors?
That's mine.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to look right at Jen Wallace when I say this. Hire somebody into that position, full-time, an experienced professional that knows how to do that type of work. I think that not just to compete with our sister communities, because there are differences between them, but I think that position goes right to the core of what Main Streets and the Chamber, and as the counselor, along with Councilor Latter, that represents pretty much all of the downtown and also the waterfront and the Goat Hill neighborhood in my case, that economic development in the downtown area, along with other parts of the city, is so critical. I'll give you the example that the City of Salem in their planning department has about a dozen or 13 people. And Mayor Driscoll over there, whom we both know quite well, is a former city planner herself. She used to work in Beverly. The fact that we have about half dozen people in the planning department, and they do many other things in addition to economic development, we do have a person now that is assigned those responsibilities. But I think that the type of activity that's going on in Salem, and I would also use the example of Peabody. Mayor Betancourt over there is really putting an emphasis on that in the city of Peabody in their downtown area. And we need to mirror that. I've said publicly on the council floor that I don't worry about Salem as much because they have some advantages that we don't, and we have some that they don't. Peabody's the one that really worries me because if they get their act together over there with a new mayor and a cooperative council, they can do some really incredible things over there with their proximity and their business base. So economic development, absolutely. Full-time person qualified to do the work.
Great, thank you, Wes. Mike?
Jay, would you mind repeating it?
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Communities around us, like Peabody and Salem, have full-time employees with economic development experience who are aggressively marketing their cities, and their downtown districts in particular, to attract new businesses and to support the business community. We do not have this position in City Hall. What will you do to bridge this gap and enable us to effectively compete with our neighbors?
Great, thank you. I think good things happen in Peabody and Salem, good things will happen in Beverly, and this is good for the whole region. I don't think it needs to be a win-lose. We don't have currently an economic development capacity in our city government. We haven't as long as I've been watching. I know several years ago our Economic and Community Development Council made a recommendation to create an economic development office. It's not something the city has been able to do financially. Beverly Main Street several years ago now dove into that breach and has done a fantastic job along with the stakeholders who've really underwritten the cost of creating more of an economic development capacity through our Main Streets nonprofit. There are things that we should be doing, even as we don't have that capacity. Now, as mayor, I will look to create that, but I can't promise to do it overnight because there's a price tag to doing so. But what we can do, and we've done some work in this direction already in my volunteer capacity with Main Streets at the same time as I was president of the council, we worked hard at streamlining the permitting process. I know that some other cities in our area do a much better job of pulling relevant department heads together when a potential investment opportunity comes to the city and making sure that there aren't a lot of twists and turns and dead ends to people who are looking to get answers on their questions as they try to permit. I will, as mayor, prioritize our downtown and our waterfront. There's a lot we can and will do together, and I hope we have the chance to talk specifically in a future question.
Thank you, Mike. Question number 4 from Ed Grant.
Each year, Boston Magazine publishes its annual rankings of Greater Boston Public Schools based on a variety of measures. While it's just one list, a lot of people looking for places to live do use it. In 2011, we were ranked 89 out of 135, and this year we're ranked 118. We've gone from the 34th percentile to the 20th percentile. As mayor, you will serve on the school committee. Other than building a new middle school, what would you do to reverse this trend?
Thank you, Ann. I don't want to get caught up in looking at rankings and numbers, except to say that there's a lot of greatness that happens in our public schools every single day, and yet we all know that we can and should do better. It's a challenge that we need to address and attack 365 days a year, throughout the year, year in and year out. You're right, the mayor is a voting member of the school committee. My goal will be on multiple fronts. First is to immediately create a relationship with the new superintendent, to work with the superintendent, with my colleagues on the school committee, with our administrators and teachers, to get into the schools for a number of reasons. One, as mayor, to more fully understand where and how we are really setting the pace and where we need improvement. And then being true to ourselves and looking in the mirror and really digging in and making the improvements that need to happen. And a second purpose for spending time in the schools is to help bring back to the community at large a better understanding of what is going on in our schools and and champion the great things that are happening. Because as a community, we really should all understand what's happening with our schools. As City Council President, I led the effort to pass the local option meals tax, bringing over $500,000 annually into our city coffers, and also led the passage of the municipal health reform, which has saved us over $1 million a year. Things that afford us the resources to help our schools forward.
Okay, great, thank you, Mike. Wes?
Well, I mentioned I started as a teacher, and for the last 4 of the last 6 years, I was one of the council's representatives to the school committee and attended many of the Finance and Facilities Committee meetings. So I've developed a very positive and strong relationship with the school committee as a group and individual members of the school committee. I think the one thing that sets the tone for the school district, and I was troubled. We subscribed to Boston Magazine, and I saw those listings, and first thing you do is you look for your own community, and I was surprised not to see Beverly even on the list when it came out this year, as you mentioned, Ann. But the list is only a list, and I think the one thing that we've had to deal with in the school district in the last year or so is a vacuum in leadership, including the superintendent and the assistant superintendent both leaving before they both left. And the school committee is charged with, and our interim superintendent, who's terrific, is charged with finding that leader for the school district. And one thing I said to him, we actually rode back from that meeting in Boston at the MSBA when the middle school vote was taken. The school committee president, the superintendent, and I rode back together. And I said to him, the one thing I would say that you should look for in a new superintendent is a very dynamic leader that can pull together the community, all the stakeholders, the students, the faculty, the parents, and everyone else, and really be the biggest cheerleader for the school district there is. And that's what sets the tone and helps those ratings go up along with everything else.
Thank you, Wes. I do want to say, as a member of 30 in Maine, we had to pare down our questions on the school system because there were several of them that were very hard-hitting.
Sure.
And is a very big issue for this 40 and under group that the majority of us have children in the school system. Great, thank you. We're going to now move to Jay Norton for question number 5, and it will go to Wes Slate.
On a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how would you rate the city as a caretaker of its downtown properties, whether they be sidewalks or buildings or parking lots? Please explain your grade and tell us what you would do as mayor to earn us a 10.
I can look over at Jim Latter and think about the number of times that we've had discussions, and Jen and some of the other people in the room, about the infrastructure downtown. The Public Services Department does a phenomenal job with the amount of money and the people and the time and the equipment that they have, and also a very outdated facility. Unfortunately, it's my belief that the emphasis has not been there on maintaining our infrastructure the way that we ask property owners to do the same. I know Don and Jan Preston are here tonight, and if you've seen them outside, and Donald sweeping the sidewalk in front of his own store all the time, along with keeping up the property himself, the city should be doing that in all the ways that we can with the equipment and the people that we have available. On a scale of 1 to 10, I guess I'd give us I'll do it on a grade level. I'll give us a C+ for effort, but we can do much better. We need to invest more time and effort. It's not our front yard, but it's very often the first thing people see particularly when they come to our restaurants and when they come downtown to do business or they come to City Hall. We had the experience a couple of weeks ago of Congressman Tierney doing a walking tour of downtown Beverly. And a couple of people that accompanied him said that it was embarrassing to see the condition of some of the sidewalks and that infrastructure that you mentioned. We can do a much better job.
Okay, great. Thank you, Wes. And Mike?
I'd say very quickly, good effort by our Public Works Department, not sufficient resources devoted to it. So through no fault of the people who are out there doing the work, I'd say probably a 3 or a 4. Now, I just want to use a little time to touch further on the education points, because I have a couple of initiatives that I would love to bring forward, not through the city's operating budget because we couldn't afford to do it, but through grants and through bringing our business community and our nonprofit community to the table to help. I think if we could do some work with more early literacy, so kids are more prepared to learn to read when they come to kindergarten, and if we could do some work with a summer learning initiative. We do have a percentage of kids who struggle with their standardized testing and who struggle and are promoted from grade to grade, but they're flagged as being potentially not at risk of not being ready to go come September. And kids who very much are subject to summer learning loss. So to develop a summer learning initiative whereby these kids could get some academics, if we focus on kindergarten, first and second graders, get some literacy work in the morning each day and a more traditional summer camp experience in the afternoon. I think these are ways, and they're really outside again of the city budget. They will require somebody who can bring together our business community, our nonprofits, and who can creatively and proactively go after the type of other funding streams that might help us initiate these. But these are ways in which we can help to address those concerns with our rankings.
Thank you very much. As long as they are not out on the city sidewalks doing these, they should be fine. Okay. I appreciate you taking the time to put a little bit more behind the educational piece. We're going to move to question number 6 for the evening, and that's Ann Grant. Thank you.
With all the focus on Brimble Ave and Dunham Road, there is concern that new commercial development in that area might negatively impact the downtown. How would you respond to that concern, and what would you do to keep the downtown competitive?
And that's Mike Cahill.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you.
I know that has been raised, and I will say that as best I understand their business model, Whole Foods is not looking to come downtown and would not really be an option for our downtown. I know there's been a lot said about Brimble Ave in recent weeks and months. The rezoning vote was taken by the council. A big part of the motivation for that was the sense that the CEA group was going to develop regardless of whether it's on the property they currently own or the property that they may now swap for. And the concern that we may not get traffic safety improvements that we need without that rezoning. As far as the downtown, we talked about the need for resources and the mayor's office to be focused on our downtown. I believe that I can unlock our waterfront, that we can adjust our federal channel lines, and we can amend the state designated port area statute that currently prevent the type of development on our waterfront that some of our private owners next to the McDonald's site would like to do. And that can help really kind of revitalize and bring up the waterfront and that whole kind of lower end of downtown. And then I think there is some tremendous cultural and arts opportunities along, throughout the downtown that again, it will be the mayor's responsibility to focus the resources we have and really make it a top priority. It will be at the top of my list.
Thank you. Wes?
The assets that we have downtown, and particularly representing Ward 2 as I have for the last 6 years, the creative arts community, and specifically the Montserrat College of Art, the Art Center over at Endicott, the music program at Gordon. We have a lot of creative people that live and work and study in Beverly, and many of them live in and around the downtown area. Some of them are here tonight. The city has said all the right things about supporting that. The council, I think on 2 separate occasions, has designated an arts or an arts and cultural district. The NEA grant that Beverly Main Streets in the city got recently that has a resident artist at Montserrat that has a very exciting plan for the Beverly Oracle that I mentioned before, as a way of bringing together that arts community to the downtown area. That's one of the things that we have in Beverly that no one else around us does. Salem does have a world-class museum, but they don't have an art college in their downtown area. And that's something that we could really focus on that would not take away from, that would enhance the downtown, would not really be located anywhere else in the city, and would take advantage of the area that's already there and the resources that are right in the downtown area, which Main Streets has been integral in. Just on the waterfront for a second, we had a similar question last night, and I said that it's very difficult when you're dealing with an abutter who says, if I don't get what I want, no one gets anything. And that's the reason the city has taken the position to fight that until it's almost done.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to, I think we have time for one more question. And then the real tough ones are going to come after that. I think we have enough time for the last question here. Again, the emphasis of 40 Main, schools, the infrastructure downtown, really important for the entire community and what we're dealing with and what we want to represent here at 30 and Main. Our last question, question number 7, will be coming from Jay Norton, and we'll have Wes Slate open the response on that. Thank you.
We're happy to report that there are many more people under the age of 40 involved in helping to shape Beverly's future than there were 2 years ago. Our peers are running for office, volunteering on city boards and commissions, joining nonprofit boards, and opening businesses. There's still room for improvement, though, as we don't always feel connected to the city and don't always know what's happening at City Hall. What would you do to connect with us, and how would you motivate us to get more involved?
Well, I'm fortunate in that our son Richard, who's here tonight, who's a graduate of Beverly High School, turns 30 in a week. So he'll be eligible, as his girlfriend already is, she's a couple of weeks older than him, to be a member of 30 and Main. And as a parent, and certainly as a teacher, that's one way of learning what people are interested in and being connected. Also, my colleagues on the council that are already there, that are members of the organization, have been very helpful in getting me to understand what some of the issues that they're dealing with younger families and the issues that you mentioned earlier. I think the other piece of it is that I remember a very early meeting, I think it may have been one of the first meetings of the 30 and Main group that was at the old Tryst restaurant before it changed hands. I was invited to attend that meeting, and I did, and one of the pitches that I made to the group was to get involved, to volunteer for boards and commissions. We never have enough members volunteering for that, and also encouraging people to run for office. And look what happened with that last time and this time as well. I'm so pleased to see that many of the people that ran for office last time that were not successful and did not get elected, in addition to those that did, we encouraged to volunteer for boards and commissions, and some of them did. And I think with all but 1 or 2 exceptions, they're serving on boards and commissions, and a couple of them are running for office this time. So that's the mayor certainly sets a tone for that, makes the appointments and to the council's recommendation, and I would certainly continue to do that.
Mike?
Great. You know, the generational change in leadership in this region has happened, and it's now finally happening here in Beverly. If you look at every other city north of Boston, we've got very talented, dynamic young mayors, and along with that comes a lot of opportunity. Yes, serving on our boards and commissions, great opportunities, but in addition to that, there are many new projects and initiatives that I'm interested in proposing. You know, I talked with you a bit about the educational potential we have to go outside of, you know, be more creative. And clearly, 30 and Main has a role to play. So Jay, I'd be looking to have you folks at the table with everything that the city does. But then, of course, it's up to you to be there and to be engaged, both here in Beverly for what we're looking to do in our downtown and on our waterfront, for what we're looking to do to be more responsible environmental stewards, to recycle more, for what we're looking to do with our schools and to preserve the character and quality of life in our neighborhoods. the whole range of things that we all do care about, you care about every bit as much. And so, you folks who are active with 30 in Main, you're the leadership, and I don't think I think you are doing a great job, and I think you'll be very successful in bringing more of your peers to the table. But it's both locally and it's regionally. There's great regional opportunity for economic development and for, as I said before, looking for ways to improve the way that we impact on our natural environment as well.
Thank you, Mike. I just wanted a point of clarification. 30 in Maine is 40 and under, 18 to 40, just FYI. We had, I think, Jay, I don't want to call you out on the carpet, but it was one of the youngest members the last time around in the early 20 zone. And I myself am phasing out of this age group, so we have a diverse group of folks that are very involved and interested. So much so that we actually wanted to flood the at-large candidacies with everyone that was 40 and under. And I think that we've done a great job with that. Gentlemen, this concludes the question portion of our forum this evening, and I myself want to say thank you for the opportunity of being able to moderate this. I'm thrilled again to be able to have been here again 2011 and 2013, and thrilled to be a part of 30 in Maine. We are going to now move to the closing statements. 2 minutes for each candidate, and we will open the floor to Mr. Cahill. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you to all of you folks, and again, for your patience and interest in what we have to say. My whole life in this city, from growing up in Beverly and graduating from our schools to volunteering and working in the schools, to representing you in Boston, to representing you on the City Council, has really led me to tonight. I believe that I have the experience in working at all levels of government, the knowledge in how to navigate and use the process to get Beverly what we need, to get us resources, to get us good outcomes to challenging situations. And I just want to share a couple of examples of things that I've been able to do in my career to help move Beverly forward. One is a very personal one. There were a couple of parents with young children turning adults who had been in the special education system who had disabilities and needed help as adults, and they wanted to actually purchase and open a group home for their children, something that had never been done. And so I brought them together with the Department of Disability Services at the state level, and it was really a great model that we were able to make happen. And they were able to find and purchase a home in Beverly, and it was staffed by state employees from that agency. And they created a model that has been used in other communities since. Another one is on a bit larger scale, and that's the Wenham Lake watershed concerns back in the late 90s and early 2000s, where I worked with a lot of very passionate, informed people, and we made sure that the Department of Environmental Protection came to the table with us and made sure that the testing and the cleanup up at the fly ash site up by Wenham Lake was done in a way that protects our drinking water. I ask you to give me your vote on November 5th. The passion I have for this city, the abilities I bring, my commitment to you and working with you to collectively lead our city and shape our future is sincere, it's real, and I will get the job done. So I ask for your vote on November 5th, and again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Wes, thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to Beverly Main Streets and 30 in Maine, BevCam, and our hosts here at our spectacular BHS home of the Panthers. 2 weeks from now, we will have a mayor-elect who will take office in January. I hope it will be me. Georgia, Richard, and I, our friends and neighbors and supporters throughout Beverly, have all worked very hard since the beginning of June when I announced toward that end. Because we love this city, because we understand its potential and the challenges facing it, because we believe in our hearts that I understand the job and can do it on day one. Mayor Scanlon agrees with that and has endorsed me. 30 in Maine Group represents the future of our city, as we've said a number of times tonight. You will be running the city in the future, and your involvement in this group and your presence here tonight demonstrates your acceptance of that future for you and your families. Everything I know, all that I have done, my experience in teaching and in business and as a husband and a father, my legislative and government experience prepare me to be your mayor. I know how this city works, what its strengths and challenges are, whom the people are who do the work every day to keep it running, and those who serve and protect us and our families. Now it's up to you. Soon our campaigns will wrap up and your choices for mayor and council and school committee will be made. I'm so excited about our prospects. I'm full of ideas about what we can do together to make our Garden City even more beautiful and welcoming and safe and financially healthy and fun. I just need your votes to make that happen. I'm Wes Slate, candidate for mayor of Beverly. I humbly, gratefully ask for your vote on November 5th. I promise you I will do the work. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, thank you. I'd like for us to do it again. That was a blast. I really appreciate the time we've taken here. I want to say thank you to Julie and John for time, and Ann and Jay for the questionings, and thank you again for allowing me to moderate such an incredible event. We love Beverly. It's going to be tough decisions to make in November, and we're grateful for it. Thank you very much. I'm going to pass the mic back over to Dana Morton. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks, Jane and Ann. And now we're going to move on to our at-large candidates. Candidates, if you could please join me on stage. Thank you, gentlemen. I'd just like to introduce our City Council at-large candidates, Mr. Paul Guanci, who is the current City Council President, Mr. Todd Murphy, Mr. Todd Rotundo, Mr. Jason Silva, who is a current City Councilor, and Mr. Matthew St. Hilaire. And we'll be following the same format that we did with our Downtown Wards 2 and 3 candidates. You'll each have 3 minutes to share your views with the audience. Our timers in the front will let you know how you're doing on time. Paul, will we start with you?
Start off, and the alphabet starts with a G.
And you can come up here to the
Oh, I
podium if
can?
you'd like.
Oh, this
You
is
get to
great.
come all the way up. You're the City Council President.
Yeah. Little different audience than the last time we were here at Beverly High School for something to be involved in city government. I just got nervous when Jamie was up here. She talked about flooding the at-large race with 30-somethings. Well, I'm the old guy. I have 13 months left in my 40s, so, but I'm excited to be running with these 4 guys. They're doing a great job. Thanks to Beverly Main Streets for inviting me to tonight's event. It's always great to be in the new, improved, and state-of-the-art Beverly High School. In all the years that I've had the privilege of serving on the City Council, this building completed on time, on budget, and with so many green elements is what I'm most proud of. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Paul Guanci, and I'm currently Beverly City Council President. I live in Ward 4 on Cross Lane with my wife, Kristen, a Beverly High graduate, and 3 children, Anna, Noah, and Julia. Anna is a 2013 graduate of Beverly High School and currently studying nursing at St. Anselm College, while Noah and Julia are in 3rd and 1st grade at Cove Elementary School. I first ran for city office in 1999, and other than a 2-year retirement from 2008 and 2009, have been working hard to make Beverly a great place to work, live, and enjoy. Professionally, I've spent my entire working career in downtown Beverly, either at 191 Cabot Street, City Hall, or at 324 Cabot Street, operating my family's business, Super Sub Shop and Casual Catering, founded in 1970. From behind the counter, I've watched the downtown go through many ups and downs. We had retail other than our longtime staple and favorites, Casa de Moda, up until the early 80s, and then things changed. We had the malls, Danvers, Peabody, shopping centers in North Beverly. The United Shoe closed and North Shore Community College relocated, taking traffic and people elsewhere. The 1990s were very quiet downtown, with many businesses either closed or relocated. Then in 2001, Beverly Main Streets was born. I was fortunate enough to be a board member for 8 years, but it's really been the last 5 or 6 years that Main Streets has made a difference in our downtown. Great restaurants, new residential developments, private investment by property owners, as well as the creation of a residential TIF district have put downtown Beverly back on the map. Working together, we can keep this momentum moving forward. Things are finally moving at the old McDonald's site. The MBTA garage is moving along as scheduled, and next year work begins on Rantoul Street from the bridge right up to the Memorial Building. The middle school, public safety facilities, drainage projects, and the interchange projects are issues I've been working on for years, and I'm excited to continue my service with the city. I'm looking forward to leaning on my experience to help as the city enters a new era with a new mayor. Am I done? Oh, okay.
Be fair to all the candidates.
All right.
Would you like to finish up?
Okay. 5 of us are running for city councilor at large. I've had a great time getting to know these gentlemen better. You can pick 3. I hope you consider me for one of your votes. Thank you.
And next, Todd Murphy.
Good evening. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you to Beverly Main Streets and 30 and Main. My name's Todd Murphy, and I'm running for Beverly, one of the 3 city councilor at large seats. I was raised in downtown Beverly on Roundy Street by a single mother with modest means. She did an incredible job raising myself and 2 siblings, Tim and Tara. My mother instilled in us the importance of perseverance and the value of hard work, education, and community service. While I didn't have much growing up, I was lucky to have a mother who pointed me in the right direction. I was also lucky to have the community of Beverly to help guide me. Throughout my years in Beverly, I had the support of many great teachers, coaches, and mentors. In 1990, I won a state-sponsored scholarship for students who succeeded despite socioeconomic roadblocks. In 1993, I graduated from Beverly High School and attended Tufts University, where my scholarship paid for half of my tuition and fees. After college, I went on to become a special education teacher. And after many years in education, I attended and graduated from Northeastern University School of Law, one of the top public service law schools in the nation. Now as a partner and owner of Callahan, Dewan & Murphy, a law firm in downtown on Rantoul Street, I have the chance to help those in need on a day-to-day basis. A portion of my practice is dedicated to representing indigent clients and finding treatment options for nonviolent drug offenders. I am proud that I can help people find solutions to difficult situations every day. Outside the office, I have a wonderful partner, Judith, and I'm a father of 2 beautiful girls, Olivia, who's 7, and in the 2nd grade at Cove School, and my baby Sloan, who's 5 months old. And because Beverly has given so much to me and now to my children, it's time for me to give back. I want to be a city councilor to help Beverly reach its full potential. Topping my priorities are education. I truly believe that education is the heart and soul of a city. I will work to make sure the new middle school gets done, and I will support our teachers and students. public safety. I will work to make sure our police and fire departments are properly staffed and that Beverly keeps moving toward a new public safety building. Road repairs. Our taxpayers deserve safe and well-maintained roads. Increased recycling. Not only is it responsible for the environment, but we can save substantial dollars as a city by reducing our solid waste. I support smart, sustainable development, particularly in the downtown area and the waterfront. I support the Beverly Main Streets initiative, Beverly Main Streets 2020 initiative, because a strong downtown is the backbone of a healthy, vibrant community. You should make me one of your choices for City Council at large because of my Beverly roots, my life and career experience, my investment in this community as a dad and business owner, and my pledge to be accessible, transparent, and a community problem solver. I love Beverly. I would not be the man I am today if I had grown up elsewhere. Please give me the opportunity to give back to the city has given me so much, and please vote for Todd Murphy on November 5th. Thank you.
Todd Rotundo.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Beverly Main Street, thank you. I have a special kind heart for Beverly Main Street. I am an business owner downtown of Salerno's Italian Pub and Eatery, and I was very fortunate enough to receive grant money to help rebrand me. So just that, I want to put out there, thank you. As I've said, I moved to this city 18 years ago. I live with my wife. I have a 16-year-old daughter, Paige, at the high school. I have a 6-year-old son at the Ayers Rouse out at elementary school. I am a PTO president, and I'm quite proud of that. I come with a unique perspective to the council. As I said, I am a business owner. I am in the downtown. And by being at the restaurant 70 hours a week, I tend to hear a lot of things from people. I get a perspective from people. I get an insight to people of what's going on, the heartbeat of the city. As I said, I have 2 children in the school system, PTO president. I am vested within the school system. I give my heart and soul to the school system. I truly believe that I can help move the city forward. We're coming into a unique situation. New police chief, new superintendent, new assistant superintendent, new city councilors, new mayor. I think we need someone who has some experience with business, who has experience with the schools, who has a relationship with many members of the school, whether it be school committee members, PTO presidents, parents themselves. I can bring that to you guys right now. I won't keep you much longer. I'm not much of a speaker. And the Red Sox are coming on soon, so I know all of us are waiting to really listen to the rest of us. So with that being said, November 5th, my name's Todd Rotundo. I'm running for councilor at large. I wish for one of your votes, and thank you.
Jason Silva.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us. You guys are the real diehards sticking around with the Red Sox on, so I appreciate you sticking around for the at-large candidates. My name is Jason Silver. I'm finishing up my first term on the Beverly City Council. I was born and raised in Beverly. I have 3 young boys that are actually sitting in the back, and I can't believe how quiet they're being right now. I've never seen them so quiet. Harry, Charlie, and Archie, they're 7, 5, and 3. And my wife, Teresa, we live on Dane Street. My oldest 2 go to Cove Elementary. My youngest is in the public preschool program. I'm a graduate of Beverly High School. I graduated from Salem State. My professional background is in municipal government. I worked for the mayor of Salem. A lot of the mayor's candidates actually were talking about Salem a lot. I was part of that, what happened in Salem for 7 years. I was the mayor's chief of staff. And that background, along with my current position as executive director of the Salem YMCA, I think brings and has brought over the last 2 years a very unique perspective to the city council. I think right now is a very exciting time for Beverly. There's a lot going on, as many of the candidates have already talked about. But first and foremost, I think it's exciting times just because there's a transition in leadership from Mayor Scanlon to the new mayor, and I think that brings a lot of opportunity. But I also think it's important to have some stability there too, which I think I could bring and hope to bring. So what's going on? What have I enjoyed working on over the last 2 years? I've been I think as a lot of the Main Street members know, I've been a strong advocate for downtown. I've worked hard to encourage the type of investment that I think we all want to see in downtown, mixed use, to create a lively and vibrant streetscape. I also think the waterfront development and looking at the Black Cow development, which we all want to move forward, but also looking at that in a more holistic way is very important. I've also, during my time on the City Council, looked at finances. With my background in city government, it's given me some experience and background in city finances, so I've enjoyed bringing that to the table here and really working on looking at ways to do things differently, looking at ways to save taxpayer money when possible, and also encouraging ways to do things like regionalization and consolidation amongst our schools and city departments. So I think all of that makes me a strong candidate for re-election. I hope you'll agree, and go Red Sox. Thanks.
Last but not least, Matt St. Hilaire.
Thank you, and thank you to Beverly Main Streets and 30 and Main for hosting tonight. I'm Matt St. Hilaire, and I'm running for City Council because I believe this is a big, once-in-a-lifetime election for Beverly, and I believe I have the experience we need on the City Council as we enter a new era. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a Beverly guy. I grew up in North Beverly, attended Beverly Public Schools, including Beverly High School, where I graduated in 1995. My wife, Liz, is also a Beverly native. She graduated 2 years behind me in 1997. We've been married 8 years, and together we have 3 young kids. We love our hometown, and we just want to see Beverly continue to move in the right direction. In terms of my professional background, I bring experience in government, politics, and also in the private sector. I graduated from Villanova University with a degree in political science, and while in college, I had an opportunity to serve as an intern on Paul Cellucci's campaign for governor in Massachusetts. After graduating, I went on and joined his staff at the governor's office up at the State House, and that's really been the start of a long career in the Massachusetts political arena. I've held leadership roles on a number of national and statewide political campaigns, and I currently work as a corporate recruiter and social media manager in the private sector. So I've been in government, I understand how the process works, I've been in a high-pressure environment, and I think this is good experience to bring to Beverly. In terms of the challenges facing the city, as I mentioned, I think this is a critical time. We're going to have a new change in leadership, we're going to have a new mayor, we're going to have a new council, and it's all coming at a time when we have a lot of big projects happening. This next group of leaders will be deciding, things like the new middle school. This project has gotten started in the sense that it's been approved by the state, and they're conducting a feasibility study. But really, the decisions about the details of the project have not been worked out. It's this next group that will be deciding that. Waterfront development. We talked a lot about that tonight. What happens with our waterfront? We've been talking about this for years and years. I'm frustrated by seeing that McDonald's site vacant year after year. This next group will be deciding what happens. Is it just a Black Cow? Is it more of a comprehensive approach to waterfront development? So this group will be important. And also the future of Brimble Avenue. We've talked a lot about that throughout this campaign. It's obviously been a hot button issue. This next group will be making decisions about what happens along Brimble Avenue. And also in our downtown. We've made great strides over the last few years. You've all been involved, those involved in Beverly Main Streets, but we still have a lot of work to do. So what happens downtown will be decided by this next group. My priorities will be, number one, improving transparency in our government. I believe it's the duty of our elected officials to inform and engage the citizens that they represent. I've been a leader in this campaign and using social media. I do that in my private sector career as well. I invite you to check me out on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. We're all in this together, and I'm going to work hard to include you in decisions that are made moving forward. My second priority will be maintaining fiscal responsibility. We're going to have a lot of change. This is a $106 million budget here in the city. I'm going to be a voice for the taxpayer and make sure we don't have any 2.5 overrides. So in closing, I thank you. I feel like my experience is valuable, and I ask for one of your 3 votes for City Council at large on November 5th. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you. Give the candidates one last round of applause, please. Well, that concludes our event for this evening. We want to thank you all for coming. We want to thank everyone that helped make this evening possible. We hope you enjoyed the event and you feel better informed to make your decision come Election Day. Please check out our website at beverlymainstreet.org to learn more about 30 and Main and Beverly Main Streets. And remember that Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. Don't forget to vote. Thank you.